Potassium nitrate is becoming a standard in fertility programs for Western nut crops. Its compatibility, solubility, and flexibility make it the ideal base for custom blends. Ask your local PCA or CCA about incorporating it into your nutrition program.
Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Nut Producer Magazine, reporting to you from the American Pistachio Growers annual conference here in Monterey, California. And hailing from Michigan, here's Marci Rossell, world-renowned economist. She returned again to speak to American Pistachio Growers. We really appreciate your expert insights. We're always having some crazy things going on in the economy and the government, and I think it really serves to frighten, especially the media, the things that they're sharing, frightening consumers and our growers in this industry, wondering, well, how is this going to, like the tariffs and the strength of the dollar and just a lot of things going on that might be impacting farmers in the near term. So I was hoping you could help dispel some of those myths and give us some clarity.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I want people to remember is that what tends to drive ag exports is independent of the dollar, independent of policy, independent of tariffs. What really drives our exports to the rest of the world is the wealth of those foreign consumers. It's more important than anything else. Changes in the dollar, changes in policy, changes in tariffs, that may move sort of export markets around a little bit. So for instance, soybeans were a huge export market to China for the U.S. prior to the 2017 tariffs. They're still important, but the percentage of the percentage of soybeans that the U.S. ships to China is half of what it used to be. So it can make a difference, but remember, even though those tariffs make a difference, what really matters ultimately is that the rest of the world is getting wealthier, particularly places like India. There are markets out there that have the income, and once their income goes up, they want American agricultural products. It's the biggest driver. It is still the most important thing.
Well, that's really great to hear. And that being said, in the near term, what do we project of what are we looking at for 2025? There have been a lot of changes, and I'm sure that it still has an impact, like with our current presidency and some of the things that they've implemented. What effect do we think that's going to have on our economy and resultingly on the agricultural industry?
Sure. Well, those things are really hard to forecast, and so the best place to go is to the bond market and the stock market to get some sort of sense of what is the likelihood of these new sort of deportations and tariffs in particular, the two things that are really sort of most troublesome for ag. What's the likelihood that they're going to really be impactful? And what we've seen over the last 6 months or so is that the 10-year Treasury has gone from an interest rate of 3.5% to 4.5%. So that's a 400 basis point increase. Now, it's meaningful, but it's not financial crisis levels, so to speak. So that suggests to me that you will have enough of an enhanced tariff environment and deportations will be escalated to the point where it will have a meaningful impact on markets. But I don't think it's the worst case scenario. So some impact, but not that extreme that many people are sort of reading about in the headlines.
So that being said, your recommendations to farmers today would be to not get too worked up about the headlines and what things might potentially be, but really to stay the course, to keep working, keep investing, in our agricultural industries?
Sure. I like that idea of staying the course. It's almost the same advice I would give to someone around their sort of stock portfolio. What do you do when you don't know? What do you do when the world is more uncertain? And the answer is, if your plan was good yesterday, it's probably good today as well.
Well, that's very comforting. Thank you so much, Marci, for coming out and visiting with our pistachio growers. I'm sure we'll see you again. Read more about these things in our publications. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.